Welcome back everyone to 3 Lines TCG. My name is Jimbo and today we're going to be going over the Collectr app. Now, this was an app that I got a lot of requests actually from a lot of you guys on the One Piece opening that I did, saying, hey, I should maybe download the Collectr app and we can keep track of each other's collections that way. So, I don't know, I was intrigued and today I'm just going to go over me downloading it basically. We're going to add a couple things to the collection, see what it's all about, and at the very end of the video I will do a review. I'll give you my rating of it, whether it's worthwhile your time or not as a seasoned collector or as a new collector. So this is the app. That's what I was pulling up. Sorry, I was rudely interrupting by looking down on my phone. But yeah, that's it. So the Collectr app, I'll have in the left corner of the screen as I'm talking here for the intro. I will kind of show me downloading it. I have an iPhone. I think you can get it on Android as well. I don't think it's specific to anything like that. I'm sure you could probably get it on your iPad too. But I would say off the rip, I do really enjoy the UI, and I think that they've done a really good job with that. So that's just like the one compliment I'll give them to begin. But yeah, just Collectr. There is that Collects app as well, which I think is more sports-based. I do get a lot of ads for that when I'm watching YouTube and stuff like that. And then I think Rare Candy, right? That would be maybe its other competitor. That is Leonhardt's app that he made, and I know there's a lot of big Pokemon community content creators that use that app as well. So, I don't know, maybe we'll try those out later on future videos, but for right now, we're going to use this Collectr app because a lot of people wanted me to download it and see what it's all about. It looks like Oman Rates the World really likes it. Absolutely amazing for tracking Pokemon updates frequently. And is always up to date, blah blah blah. Okay, so Oman really likes it. Let's just read the description real quick. So, why use multiple apps when you can track all the TCGs in one place? Yeah, so it is just kind of like a tracker. It says real-time database of 200,000 products to instantly value your products. That is where I am going to be sort of very picky, because I have a lot of different cards that I've collected over a 10-year period, so I am very curious as to what all they actually have, and I think that's what will make my decision of whether or not this is worth it or not. Real-time insights, be a part of a community. That's an interesting part, but I've got a couple opinions about that as well. Stay informed. Okay, so we'll go ahead and register and make an account real quick, and here we are. So we're starting. We'll just go through all the little tabs here. So you've got the home tab, you've got search. So I guess if we click on One Piece, we can actually go through. I'll just, manifest adding 3 Goldie Roger mangas, because why not? But yeah, it looks like they've got the homepage as the search mechanism. There's a marketplace as well, which I found this to be quite interesting because it looks like they've got featured listings. So they've got like live auctions. A lot of it's through eBay. I accidentally clicked that, pulls up the eBay. But hey, look, that's a steal. 2000 Pokemon Rocket first edition. PSA H Charmander. Yeah, they've got the crazy, ridiculously expensive ones on the top. I like how that's their featured. Like, yeah, just get a base set Shadowless Charizard for 9 grand. You got it, right? And then it looks like they've got sealed collection auctions, which is interesting too. Hey, Pokerev, little sealed booster box or whatever for $120. That seems worth it and not a scam. It probably isn't, but I don't know if it's worth $120. And then I don't know what live shopping is. I'm assuming that's rip and ships, whatnot type scam shit, but interesting. Okay, so that is basically what the marketplace is, but that's cool. So it does have like actual products that you can look for, which I would never really use, but it's nice to have it, I guess, all in one place. So maybe for beginners, that's a good way of doing it. I'll do that later. And then our portfolio, this is where our cards will go. We'll add some products, and then we have our profile as well. So my handle will be 3 Lines TCG. So if you want to follow me, then go ahead. I can't promise that after I release this video, I'm going to have everything uploaded. I already know this is going to take forever to do. So just bear with me when it comes to that. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and go over what all we're going to add today. And let's go ahead and get into it. So I've pulled a couple binders from the collection that I want to use in today's video. Also ignore any bulk you see in the background. After those 2 cases, my room feels a bit like an episode from that show Hoarders. But I really just want to grab like a couple cards, or maybe even just like one of each binder, one from each binder, and just see what all can be tracked through this app. I don't think it said anything about sports cards, so I've got my forest binder here. We'll probably just take a couple. I've got some like really old school ones like these as well, so I'm curious if those will even register on there, or if in general there's even sports cards available. So I don't remember reading it in the description, to be fair, so maybe that's a waste of time, but we'll find out. So we'll probably add, like I say, try and add a couple forest cards. We've got Yu-Gi-Oh as well, so I've got some modern day Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I collect, and also some vintage. So we'll test those. I've got different languages too, so I'm curious to see how that will work. If it will register those, and that's really when I'm going to be really critical on how this app works when it comes to uploading collections. I've got a lot of WotC, some vintage Pokemon here as well. My fossil set's one of my favorites, and probably one of my more expensive collections, parts of my collection that I've got. So I'll be curious to see if we can upload this whole thing. I'll probably just take a card or two from there. I am curious about like conditions too, because not all of those are near mint, so I'm going to be curious about that. We've got some, modern day Pokemon too, so I'll probably just pick one of my favorite modern day cards, which was the 151 Blastoise, so we'll probably just add that. I've obviously got some other stuff too, but we'll see about that. And then we've got some One Piece, right? So, how did the Forbidden Binder get in here? No. Can't be showing that one on YouTube, but we'll go to the real One Piece binder here. So, obviously I've got quite a lot of different cards from different sets, so I am curious to see how it will do with adding these in particular, but also like a lot of these different cards that we got, like sort of the more obscure ones, like these 2006 cards on the bottom here for the Zolos, for example, right? Like, will it be able to register those 2006 sort of collection cards, or even these China cards here? So I don't know. I'm curious to see if this app will be able to handle those, or if it's just going to be like the set top sort of regular cards. We've also got a couple graded cards we'll add today. I'm curious to see if we can just straight up scan like a PSA and see if it just registers that automatically. And as well as Japanese, right? So we'll see if the Japanese slabs will also register too. So that's all we're going to do. Let's go ahead and find out if we can add them or not. Right, so let's go ahead and start with One Piece first. Like I say, let's go ahead and test one of these 2006 cards. I am curious about that. So we'll go ahead and do the iconic Fourth Brother Portkas D Trace. It's a really cool card as well, and it was one of the silver rares, which was actually one of the bigger hits in those early 2006 sets. And then we'll do one that's a bit more, let's do a Zoro. How about that? How will we get a little Zoro out? One of my faves. Should we do the treasure rare? Let's do the treasure rare. So let's look this up in the traditional way. Obviously, this was from Emperors in the New World. This was probably one of my favorite hits in the recent videos we've done in the OP09 set. So we'll just type in Zoro here. It looks like we have, it's the fourth option. But it does look like we can just search for cards this way. And we can just double check here, make sure it does say ST18004, even though it is from OP09, because that is just how a lot of these cards work. So this is the treasure rare. And it does say raw. Okay, so it looks like it's basing it off of auction pricing for eBay. So that is interesting. That's how it's getting a lot of its pricing by the looks of it here. It does look like, too, they're using the TCG player format. They're probably using the API, I would imagine, because it definitely has the same sort of graph tracker that you can see where it has like 1 month ago, 3 months ago, year, or whatever. It does say max is pro, so I imagine you have to pay to see its all-time pricing, which is kind of, yeah, it is what it is, I guess. And so, yeah, we've got several options here. We just hit the plus sign for the foil. We can do a set price paid, which is very interesting. So I guess if you wanted to see how well you've done from your initial purchases, then you can put how much you paid for that particular card. And I guess that's another way of tracking how well you've done from a profit perspective. But it does say shop there, TCG player. I guess you can get eBay listings as well as Ultra Pro. So I guess if you wanted top loaders, you can shop directly through this particular page. So kind of interesting there. Let's go ahead and add up. Let's do another Zoro while we're here. Let's go ahead and do this one from OP05, the alternate art. Another beautiful hit that we got quite recently. We're going to use the camera this time though. Let's see how well it does when it comes to scanning through the camera. I will notice the one thing I noticed straight away is that it does say 35 scans remaining. Tap here to get unlimited scans. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like that's... What? This is not the SP, brother. What do we... This doesn't even look the same. Okay, so that's not a good start. The camera already messed up for one of the first things we've ever done, so obviously we can't... It looks like there's match results, so we can just be like, no, it's definitely this one. Yeah, 21 versus like 180. That's a pretty big difference. So, okay, so far the camera hasn't really, it wasn't 100% accurate just based on one. I mean, we'll go through it more and we'll see, but it's kind of interesting here though. You do have like variants. You can set your price paid here as well, and it did say condition, so that's quite nice as well. But then we're just going to add it to portfolio, I assume. I just basically clicked the check mark there after we're done. Hit add to portfolio, and there it goes. I guess let's check our portfolio now and see what that looks like. So yeah, we have both Zoros in there now. And it looks like if we click the main button here, we can add a new portfolio, or we can change the name of it. So let's just change it to like One Piece cards for now, or something like that. Or we can just say One Piece. And we can hit update. And okay. Pretty intuitive. Again, this is my first time using it, and that was all pretty obvious just on a couple clicks. So I imagine that's as easy as it takes. Let's see if it passes the 2006 more obscure card test, though. We're going to see if Portcus D Trace shows up at all. We'll do the camera first, see if we get anything on the scan, and then if not, we'll search it manually and just double check and see if there's any way we can get sort of more unique cards added to this Collectr app. This is where, as a vintage collector or like a, seasoned collector who's been doing this for a while, this is where apps like these have never really worked out for me. Yeah, no match found. Tap here to search manually, so let's just see. Yeah, no manual searches. And you can probably find this card on eBay somewhere, but I mean, they are so obscure, so maybe not. But it does kind of seem like they're only taking cards. We'll back out of the camera. We'll just search manually for it, and see if there's anything there. But it does seem like you can only really get the sort of retail cards. That's probably the best way of wording it. Just like from every retail set. Yeah, there's nothing here. So yeah, when we look at the options, it does say Japanese too. That's interesting. But yeah, it just has all the actual sets. So if you wanted more, if you had more obscure cards from different, that aren't just actually from the card game, then you probably won't be able to add it. Oh, it does say basketball there too. That's interesting. I don't see anything else though. Yeah, I was curious if they had sort of like a miscellaneous section or something like that, maybe. Because maybe this wouldn't fall right under One Piece, but it looks like, unfortunately, we can't add the Portcus D Trace, so that's going to take some points away from me, because again, I won't be able to really get a truly accurate reading of my collection, because I've got a lot of those types of cards, which a lot of collectors will have, the more time that you spend collecting. Let's do a little more, hopefully an easier one for the app here. We're going to do the Blastoise EX from Pokemon 151, modern day card. It's got a bit of whitening here and there, like on the right-hand side, but overall, I mean, I'm just going to still call it near mint, so I'm going to double-check all these just to make sure, but yeah, I mean, it wouldn't grade a 10, but since when is a 10, since when does a near mint card have to be a 10? I feel like people have just forgotten about that, because that's not how it works. I mean, you can get like a PSA 8, and it will still be classed as near mint, so I feel like people need to calm down with that. They're like, well, it's not perfect, so it's heavily played, or it's lightly played. I'm like, you need to calm down with that. So let's take a picture of the Blastoise EX. It knows it straight away. It's a really iconic artwork nowadays anyway for like modern day Pokemon, so no surprise there really. View sold listings. So average 67. That feels pretty decent. I feel like we got this for $40 odd, so that feels like it's definitely gone up a bit, so that's nice. And we'll just keep it as near mint. I don't remember what price we actually paid. I don't even know if actually, no, I think Matt got this for me, so we're not even going to have to worry about that. And so it looks like we've added it to the One Piece collection, so we don't really want to do that. So let's click on this right-hand corner here, and it looks like there is a filter option. So let's just see if we can filter. Well, I guess that would be filtering with portfolio. So let's add a new portfolio, and let's call it like modern day Pokemon or modern Pokemon. Whoops. Create. Right, okay, so we've got modern Pokemon. Okay, so now is there a way that we can move it? Let's hold the product. Ah, there is. Okay, and we can hit move, and we can hit it to modern Pokemon, and then hit move again, and then... Wow, that was really easy, though. Like, I mean, again, I just I just assumed that's the most intuitive way to do it. Just like hold it, have like an option to transfer it, and just like that we have done so. Let's refresh the page. So we go from a one-piece portfolio. Let's click on that one piece. Or I guess, yeah, let's try filter. What's on filter? I didn't really see anything on filter. Let's go back. Okay, then I assume we just click on modern day Pokemon. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so that is how you make different portfolios. Let's see what it looks like on our profile now. So we can have one showcase. Okay, so maybe we can only showcase one portfolio at a time? I'm not sure how that would look. And then I can... yeah, you can really customize all that. Okay. So I'm not sure how that will work yet, but maybe we can have multiple showcases. I mean, I don't know if from your end, like looking at the actual... looking at my profile, like, you know, through the actual social, if maybe you can filter through all the different portfolios I have. That would maybe make more sense. I don't know. We'll see. I don't even know if I'm going to worry about the social in this video. I've also got like a pretty probably brutal opinion about that, because I just feel like it's a waste of time. It feels extremely pointless, but it's okay. We'll get to that when we get there. Let's try a Tops Blastoise. Because this is like obviously not part of like a normal set. Like it's not base set. It's an offshoot set, and this is a decent like test here to see if they've got Tops on there. Because Tops is a very popular Pokemon set. Like this was like one of the OGs, but it's technically not like a like I say, like a main set, if you will. So let's see if it picks up on this. This will be an interesting test here. So I get a picture of the Blastoise. No mashes found, and it couldn't find anything. Okay, that's not a promising sign. Let's search manually though. Let's see if when we type in Tops Pokemon we get anything. So we'll search through Pokemon, search for products. Let's type in tips, Tops. Yeah, okay, so it shows up straight away. There's the Blastoise. Blastoise Chrome, Series 1. I think it's just base Chrome. So... huh. They do have it. Yeah, $1.03. $1.03, that's all it is. Criminal. Okay, so that's interesting, though. So it seems like the camera isn't as reliable, maybe? Because they do have some of it. So I guess unless it's like a really popular or well-known set, maybe just manually search, but otherwise you can probably get away with scanning. This one it should be able to find, and this is my first edition Haunter Fossil, definitely near mint. I remember getting this one, like very minimal whitening on the back here, and has a clean front, no scratches, so it's a beautiful card. I'm sure this one will be decently expensive being near mint and first edition, so let's see what this one will look like in the scanner here. Okay, so 77. Okay, so I definitely know I didn't pay that much for it at the time, but I've had these forever. So first edition holo foil, raw, near mint. And then I guess... oh, so from here we can add a new portfolio. So all I did there was, it says adding 2 modern Pokemon in the background there. I just clicked on modern Pokemon and then it pulled up this portfolio thing. Then I can actually make a new one while I'm here. And then I'll select vintage Pokemon. And then now it will move to vintage Pokemon. Okay, cool. So you can make a portfolio when you're actually adding a product. That's pretty intuitive. I like that. Now, this, I completely forgot about this, but can it get error cards? I think that's the only downside with, like, especially, like I say, for seasoned collectors like myself, error cards are a huge part of your collection generally, a lot of people's at least. And Jungle has the probably most iconic error set, being the no symbol errors. They're pretty well known. If you're into vintage Pokemon, you probably know what I'm talking about. I've got a deep dive over Jungle, and I do briefly go over it. There's a lot more than just that, to be honest. It's actually, there's more exciting things than these no symbol errors, but they're very common. Well, not common, but you know, they're very well known and documented. So you'd think that they would have this as well. Generally, it's double the price of the regular unlimited card. And so far, it didn't pick up on the no symbol. It did just say a regular jungle electrode unlimited. So let's see if there's any options when we type in electrode here. No symbol. Does anything come up there? No. Okay. I figured this may be the case because it's kind of hard to document error cards, because like if they're using the API from TCG Player, I know TCG Player sometimes doesn't show specific errors. They may have no symbol errors on there though now. I can't really remember looking it up, but I know eBay definitely would, so that's why I'm like, okay, if you're taking a lot of your pricing from eBay, you'd think that they'd have all these other options. But yeah, nothing for no symbol jungle shows up, not just electrode, but nothing. The only no symbols we get are, it looks like, are these magic cards, maybe? Yeah. Okay. That's a bit disappointing. Because again, like, I'm going to have a lot of those type of cards, and when I get really picky with how I collect, I'm not going to be able to actually show that within this app or keep track of it. Like I say, generally they're going to be more expensive. Most of the time, double the price of the regular unlimited print. So that's a bit disappointing, but it is what it is. And I understand that more like beginner collectors, or even you know, people that don't care that much about the error cards, probably won't have to worry about that. So that's just probably a me thing. Let's go on to Yu-Gi-Oh now. I don't remember. Let me just double check this. I want to do Exodia, I think. Is this the... Oh no, this isn't LOB. Let's do... I was gonna say, let's do an original. We will use the Cyper Harpy Lady here, the Cyper / Harpy Lady. That's a more modern day card. That's a good example as well. And then let's do Celtic Guardian, eh? A classic, LOB 007. Let's see what we get with this. So let's go ahead and take a picture, because there were a lot of reprints with this, so I'm curious if it picks up with the camera immediately where it's from. Let's see. Yeah, it did actually. Okay, and that is the OG, so it definitely it's definitely figured that out. But it does say first edition there. Oh right, we can just hit the variant and go to unlimited. Okay, because I was looking for it back and forth there, like, okay, but we need the unlimited version, not the first edition. So you can actually just set that there, and then of course we can do conditions as well. I think this one was near mint, so we'll just put it as near mint. And then, okay, so we can add it that way too. Vintage Pokemon though, we probably want to make a new portfolio and call this like Vintage Yu-Gi-Oh! So let's do that real quick before we add this. So we can get some symbols by the looks of it here. What? Okay, so we can't get the exclamation point, but we can get everything else. Okay, maybe we ran out of room. I don't know. Maybe there's a limit to what you can name your portfolio, or we just can't get exclamation points. Either way, kind of weird. Let's look up Cyber / Harpy Lady now too. It is that first one, that DLCS, I believe, EN148. So we can look through here and add that as well. So yeah, it does seem to have both modern and vintage. We can just hit the plus sign here, and then we can add it that way. That would probably be a bit easier with this one. So I guess so those are the two methods it seems like to add. Just manually searching and then using the camera. But as we can see, the camera has been kind of, you know, dodgy at times. It hasn't really worked every single time. So I guess when in doubt, just search manually. But if you, I'm not gonna sign up for the pro thing. So I guess if you don't become a pro, then you have to search manually after 30 searches anyway. Let's try something different while we're here too on the Yu-Gi-Oh binder. Let's look up vintage old school Japanese Yu-Gi-Oh cards, see if they pick up on the camera here. This is actually a banned card, a banned artwork in America. It got changed in the English version because he's actually holding a gun in this one, where in the English version he's holding like a clown gun. That's the best way to word it. But let's type in Science Soldier. We didn't get anything on the camera search, which no surprise there at this point. I don't see any options for Japanese, so maybe not. That's the 25th anniversary, so that wouldn't be it anyway. Let's try one more time. This would be kind of an... I mean, again, this is, like, nitpicky, but I do... Like, these are some of my favorite cards to collect. Because they are much cooler, I think, the Japanese versions. And they've got sort of that... the anime sort of look, right? Where they've got the numbers are just... Oh, their attack and defense are sort of spread out a lot differently. So let's see, can we search Japanese through a filter? Is that a better way of doing it? I have to collect like a pro, so I have to pay $4.99 a month to even filter through Japanese cards. Okay, that's another point taken away. I don't know if I like that at all. Whatever. Okay, so for some cards we can do the Japanese, and then for others we can't. I mean, I guess the vintage Yu-Gi-Oh! In particular for Japanese might be slightly different compared to, you know, like Pokemon, or just like even like modern day Japanese Yu-Gi-Oh! Might be different too, but yeah, there's no option here to change it, so I guess we can't add that either, which is a bit disappointing as well. Right, let's briefly try a football card. We're gonna do like just an American card. We'll do like a Panini rookie card. Let's do some Toffolo Stonks. And see, because this is kind of a unique, well, in terms of like it's a blue-yellow sort of design here, so let's see if it picks up on those specifics. I doubt it will. When we looked through all the sections, I didn't see any football. Yeah, I don't even know if we can search for it, just because there isn't anything here. Yeah, it's only basketball, so I guess unfortunately for now we can't add any football cards. Maybe the Collectr app, that other app, will be a bit better of doing that. So it's a bit disappointing, but it's not the end of the world. I don't have a crazy collection for sports cards. Lastly, let's try some graded cards. Let's see if we can register the graded cards straight away. This is where I'm curious with the scanner. Maybe the scanner works better with this because there's more specifics on the actual card itself, because it, you know, it says it in the cert here on the top. What it is and where it's from. So let's see. Let's start with the Japanese one. Let's see. This is a good test here. Yeah, it came up straight away. It says JP there in parentheses. Remax, but okay. So it does have it. Yeah, it does have it. And it already says condition Gem Mint 10, PSA, set quantity 1. Cool. Okay. So that worked. That worked very easily. So I guess we'll change our portfolio again. We don't want this to go into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Binder. Let's go ahead and, or portfolio. Let's call these graded Pokemon, I guess, just for the example. I'm probably going to change the way I do or portray these portfolios, just based on how I'm seeing how this app works for now. I'm definitely going to change that, I think. Let's go ahead and get my my favorite card, or my favorite graded card I own, the Gyarados, first edition PSA 10, Giovanni's Gyarados. It does do it straight away, so that's good to know. So I think graded cards seem to be quite easy to add through the scan. It's just Giovanni's Gyarados, yet first edition holofoil, PSA, Gem Mint 10, 1 quant. Yeah, I mean, it says it there, and I do know what I paid for that, so I could put that there, but that was a while ago. Oh, and I do like how they have, it does say like PSA on the bottom, so that's kind of how you can tell the difference. Because I think it would be confusing you looking at a portfolio and you mix in both graded and normal cards. So yeah, it does have a little PSA symbol on the bottom there, which is quite nice. Okay, so that is all we're going to add for today's video. Obviously, I'm going to go through this and add a lot more stuff, so if you do want to follow me on this platform, it will just be 3 Lines TCG. I will say, though, I'm going to give you my opinion, my overall rating of how I feel like this app is for a seasoned collector like myself, and then also for like a beginner collector. For me personally, I would say this is a 6 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10 at most, but there's a little bit of a negative side when it comes to veteran collectors. If you've been doing this for a long time, you're going to have cards outside of just the regular retail sets, right? This is what happens when you expand your collection as a collector. You start finding more obscure cards, and you want to find these one-of-one cards, these crazy cards that no one else has, or very few people have, and I have several of those type of cards, and this app isn't going to be able to track that. So I will never, using this app, ever have a completely accurate idea of like my investment or like my pricing or my value of my entire collection. I'll only be able to have, you know, maybe my sets and maybe like more the, you know, like the, if I'm collecting OP02 or OP03 or whatever, then yeah, I can track that. But anything outside of that, I won't really be able to. And as a season collector, that is what I'm going to be collecting. So that would be a negative for me. But where I will use this app, and where I think this app will be a lot more useful than my current method, is with knowing what to buy, right? So I think for me, normally when I go to card shows or when I'm looking online, it's generally card shows. I try not to just cheat and buy it online. I like to buy my cards in person for my personal collection, especially vintage stuff. So what I do right now is I just have my notepad. I have notes on my, you know, the notes app on my phone, and I will just have a list of all the cards I have and don't have, and I will manually delete them when I've already bought them. Or I'll kind of say, I have this card, but it's in kind of a crappy condition. If you see one that's in better condition, maybe it's worth buying that, and then you could sell the one that's in, you know, like heavily played or moderately played or whatever. So that's currently how I do it. I think this app will be really good at, you know, keeping that all in one place. I can just pull it up, and I know exactly what I need to have. My only concern is how picky I am with my collection. So like you kind of saw, at least briefly with the Fossil set, I have first edition, unlimited, and then the Japanese version, including all of the error cards. And because I can't put the error cards specifically into the app, that's the only thing I won't be able to track. So for me, it is one of those where it's like, for the more like, you know, uncommon ways that I collect, or like, you know, I guess, sorry, the more common ways I collect, you know, if it's just set completion, I can probably use this app a bit better than just like the notes app that I have. But like for more specific things like error cards and even like more of the obscure cards, I won't really be able to use this. So that's kind of why for me it kind of sits at this 6 or 7 out of 10. I really like the UI. I really like the idea of what they've done. There's a couple things I just don't really agree with, and they don't make much sense to me. The social tab, I get that people are like, oh, I really want to track, like, you know, your progression, your collection. Bro, Instagram's been out for a decade. That's exactly what that app was used for. Back in 2016, 2017, I was one of the OG Instagram people that posted their collection on Instagram, and you just post one of your favorite cards from your collection every other day. There's plenty of us out there, and we've been doing it for a decade. I don't see how it's any different to that. The only difference is that you get to know exactly how much money my, you know, my collection's worth, and I guess if there's a specific set, you can see specifically what I have left. I mean, that's the only thing. But otherwise, I really get sort of hung up, just as a content creator, but as an influencer, because I feel like this is the direction a lot of these sort of channels or content creators get into now. They really get into this sort of, in my opinion, this negative way of collecting, by basing it all on the chase cards and like the super expensive cards. It's all about like the investment, it's all about the value, when it was never about that. It's never been like that for me. When I was a kid, none of these had value. There was no value with any of these. These were just cards that you enjoyed, and you got them because you enjoyed the way they looked, or you liked the characters you got. Where nowadays I understand like kids that are getting introduced to this are like sort of indoctrinated to kind of say, no, like that card's crap because it's not worth anything, but look at this crazy hit that I got. That's the card you should want. That's the card that needs to be in your collection. And I just don't, I think as a content creator, as an influencer, as, you know, someone that, you know, really is passionate about this hobby, I want to stress that I don't necessarily agree with that. You can tell based on when I do my videos, I really focus on the commons and uncommons. I can't tell you how many times I've clicked away from a video or like scrolled past a reel or a short or something where it's just somebody opening up One Piece cards. I mean, that's just One Piece in general, but it can be with anything. And they literally just show the last card at the end. They don't show you anything in the rest of the pack. They don't show you any other cards. They just show you the back. And that when they get like an SR, they kind of go, huh, that wasn't really that good, because it's cheap or whatever. Even though it's the most expensive SR in the set, to them it's like, well, it's not the chase card, it's not the big wanted poster or whatever. That means I don't care about it. And for me, that just like, that's a terrible viewing experience. For me, like, that is not how I want to portray any of my content. And I don't watch content that does that. I don't agree with it, and I don't think it's fun to watch. I don't get how people get views that way. But I understand that it's like the dopamine rush, it's like the big hit, it's the big money, life-changing money, and all this stuff. And I just think a lot of the youth, or a lot of people that get introduced to these type of hobbies, are kind of getting sucked into that sort of mentality. So I know I'm going on a little bit of a rant here, but it's true. Like, I really do believe that, and I want to stress that this channel is focused on that. You can collect however you want to collect, and I don't judge you based on anything. And everyone's at a different sort of part in the journey. Now we're getting cringe, but like, you know, if you're just started out, then I don't expect you to have like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cards. And if you do, then congratulations. You know, like, cool. How does it make you feel? Like are these artworks fun? Are they cool to collect? Like, it shouldn't, the dollar amount shouldn't mean anything. And that's how I can really test people and their true nature when I go to card shows and when I talk to vendors and stuff. Like, why are you really here? Like, do you really care about this stuff, or do you just want to show off? Because I see more of the show-offs than I do the genuine collectors. And it's rampant in Pokemon right now, especially with scalpers and stuff like that. But that's a whole other conversation for a different day. But I just had to say that, because I do feel like a lot of people come to watch my content for that reason, and I will continue to do that. I will be that voice of reason or whatever. I will try and be that influence, because I don't agree with the way that the current culture, or the current way the hobby, no matter the card game, how it's kind of being portrayed right now to many people through YouTube videos. So that's just my little 2 cents there. I didn't talk about how I feel this app works well with like rookie collectors or people that are just starting out. I think it's perfect, actually. I think this is really good if you're just starting out. If you do care, you know, about the amount of money you're spending, which you should, and the amount of like money you're putting into your hobby, and you do want to keep track of your cards, or you just want to like keep track of your set collections, you know? I think set collecting is a really good way of getting into the hobby. You're like, well, there's 300 cards in this set, I want to get all 300 of them. This app is perfect for that, right? You can keep track of every card that you need. I do that, but I'm very picky, but I do it with certain sets that I like more than others. I don't necessarily do that with every set. I'm so picky that I only do certain characters. So with One Piece, I'm probably never going to collect a full set of One Piece cards. I'm going to tell you that right now. That will never happen. I'm never going to do a master set of a certain set, right? I'm not going to be like, OP09, I need every card in it. That's never going to happen. I'm going to be like, I want all the Zoro cards. I want all the Straw Hat Crew cards. All these other cards, they look really cool. I want to put that in my, like, cool artwork binder, you know? That's how I collect, but I've also been doing it for a long time. You may have a completely different mentality if you're just starting out. So I think this app in particular, this Collectr app, if you're just starting out, I'd give it a 9 out of 10, 100%. I think it's very well done. Like I say, I do enjoy the UI, and it is very user-friendly when it comes to you just starting out. So that's how I'd say there. I'd highly recommend it if you do want to get started. But again, like I say, I'm very picky when it comes to my collection, and you should be too. So don't let anybody judge based on how, you know, inexpensive or expensive your, you know, collection is. None of that matters. It's just however it makes you feel. That's all I'll say on that. I ranted a little bit over here, but I think it's important to say, so I'm going to say it. But that's going to do it for today's video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. I do plan on getting some more videos out soon. I've just been kind of busy recently, and I haven't really... EB02 is just doesn't look like a set worth opening for One Piece, to be honest, so I'm kind of saving up for OP11 if you are watching this as a One Piece viewer, and I'll try and open some more stuff soon. But otherwise, I will catch you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.